From the moon to the heart. Hello and welcome to a Mid-Autumn Festival special on CGTN. I'm Tian Wei. The moon puts on an elegant show, different every time in shape, color, and nuance. She gives all of us a lifelong chance to look up to and to celebrate in her allure, our life, our curiosity, our thoughts through poetry, and certainly through our love. Throughout history, the Chinese have nurtured a special love for the moon. When the night sky is about to be lit with the soft hue of the full moon, it is a welcome sign of the Mid-Autumn Festival. The glow of lanterns, the savory and sweet mooncakes, and the moonlit night will mark celebrations for the second biggest Chinese holiday of the year after the Spring Festival. In that sense, quite similar to the importance of Thanksgiving in the West. The Mid-Autumn Festival is celebrated on the night when the moon is at its fullest and brightest, the 15th of the 8th month of the lunar calendar. It falls on September the 10th this year. Today, I'm celebrating the Mid-Autumn Festival with a few friends of mine whom you will meet very soon. Matthew, it's so good to see you here. Thank you for coming all the way from western part of Beijing to our very special place to celebrate the festival. See, we are very sincere in welcoming you. We got fruits for you and the mooncake, of course. Also the two little rabbits. They are the symbols of the Mid-Autumn Festival. And also here, a lantern. Just look at that. With the rabbit and the moon over there, and it can be turned on. You see, little lights. And here it says, Tian Gong, Heavenly Palace. Today we are going to share stories about the festival, because you're the one I go to whenever I have questions about the Chinese traditional culture. Mooncake.
Looks delicious.
Looks delicious. Before we indulge them, we need to explain what they are about and why they are so important.
We have to remember that China has gone through a long period of time that we are an agricultural country, agricultural civilization, and mid-autumn, meaning that all the major farm work come to an end, and all the farmers are gathering enough wealth to celebrate. So
and they had the time.
Yeah, they have the time, and as our old Chinese saying goes, 民以食为天. So people take food as heaven. So I think that for this kind of important occasions, how can we miss delicious food? So because it's coming to the second month of autumn, and that's the Mid-Autumn Festival, and we have a full moon. So obviously people rely on lunar calendar to really perform their agricultural duties.
And you can see the mooncake, the shape of it, actually almost similar to the moon that you would see during the Mid-Autumn Festival.
Yes,
full moon.
Yes, of course. I think that's the whole purpose of reminding people that we're coming to a very important occasion. This is not any other full moon day in the 12th month. This is the Mid-Autumn Festival, and so everybody who was traveling outside the hometown would be coming back, and as they look at the moon, as the moon become fuller and fuller, it's like a clock ticking. So for them to go back home. So I think by the time they arrive home, they would expect some homemade mooncakes.
I love the way you said it. It's like a clock, right?
Yes, yes.
So they see the moon, they try to figure out their schedule of going back home.
Yeah, it's actually something they actually use as a way of telling the time in the ancient times.
And that is the shape of the mooncake, but the filling of the mooncake is even more fascinating.
Yes, I think people from across the country, they use different kind of fillings. People in Beijing, like us, maybe we don't really have a lot of different varieties of fillings. But people in the south, because the variety of food available in the southern part of China, so they have much more choices. So in Jiangnan, in Suzhou, Hangzhou region, the Yangtze River Delta region, or in the Pearl River region, or in Chengdu, the Tianfu Zhiguo, so the most fertile piece of land in China. So I think people have come up with different kind of fillings.
Like what?
Like, for example, they have lotus seeds. Sometimes they have smoked meat, and they have sausages.
My favorite, and that is my favorite.
Yeah.
In fact.
So
What is yours?
My actually I like something less sweet, but with a lot of nuts. Actually, yesterday I was chatting with a newly made friend who is a real expert on mooncakes.
And you didn't bring her over here today?
I'm sorry, I made a mistake. But yeah, the reason that I got to know her was because she was introduced to me as a really expert on making mooncakes. She is retired as an artist, but she is making mooncakes on every moon festival. So all her friends and relatives just try their best to get a piece of mooncake she made. And she was very, very strenuous in making the mooncakes.
It was a lot of work, isn't it?
Lots of work.
They have to prepare much in advance.
Like 2 weeks in advance,
Wow.
15 days. So the last time she saw the crescent moon, she started to get ready for that and prepare all the materials. And some of the materials has to be processed so that they can use it during the mooncake making.
Many would wonder, what really mooncake is made of.
Yeah.
It's actually soft dough outside,
Yes.
encaving some of the wonderful fillings, the fillings you mentioned,
Yes.
like lotus seeds and red bean paste. There's also exotic ones, right?
Yeah, like sometimes they also use pine seeds, and also they use walnuts, for example.
Right.
Different kind
And
of
that's
nuts.
exotic for you already? The
yeah.
most exotic one that I tasted is, the filling of durian
Oh, really?
and
Wow.
prawn
Wow.
and crab.
Wow.
Well, it tastes quite special, shall I say.
Yeah, it must be some very coastal
Region.
customs.
Yes, indeed.
customs, yeah.
And also the most traditional in the southern part of China is those with duck egg yolk,
Yeah.
right? Just look at that in the very middle of the mooncake. It really almost looked like a moon,
Yeah.
golden, round.
That's already a beautiful picture in front of me, and the mooncake
Mouth-watering
itself.
picture, in
yes,
fact.
Yes, not just mouth-watering, but also it's aesthetically very pleasant because you have a cake looks like a moon, but when you open it up, there's a yolk, duck egg yolk, which looks like a moon. It's almost double happiness.
The dream about the moon, our aspirations for the moon,
Yeah.
is always so huge that you will find our trying out different ways to get to the moon.
Yeah.
Throughout the past few thousand years, recently, of course, with technology, things are getting much better. But Mr. Hu, tell me more about how you see the latest, missions, men on the moon, also women on the
Yeah,
moon,
of course.
hopefully in the future.
Yeah. So we have the complete sky up there, right? We have not only the men, but also women, half the sky. I think that it's, as a Chinese, I'm extremely proud because this is obviously a major achievement. And at my age, I basically have witnessed China's development from pre the reform policy until today. So the advancement of our technology is a huge encouragement for all the Chinese people to develop our country to a much better future. So it's not just something that meaning a lot in science and technology, but also means a lot in the morale of the country, I think.
Yes. And the legends about the moon, about the Mid-Autumn Festival, even lives on the moon. Remember, the Chinese give the name, the laurel tree, to the moon base that China is trying to build on the moon. I was told it's going to be pyramid shape according to the scientists, but we'll see how it works, right? But just think about it, how much the legends are connected to science and technology, how our aspirations actually translated from legends into real technologies. It is also bringing all of us what we have from the Earth to the moon. Well, the other way around. I understand that they are trying to cultivate crops in the microgravity environment on the space mission that China is taking right now. So in a way, if you want to develop or make mooncakes in the future on the moon, it might be possible, sir.
Wow, thank you. That way, the tradition is really developed to a very high level.
I hope your friend then will feel not reluctant to make any mooncakes anymore, even though it takes a lot of labor.
Yeah, I'm sure she will be willing to do that in that kind of space.
Yes, but that is not just a China story. It's a human story, right?
It is, indeed.
I remember very clearly the first man onto the moon, the sentence he said.
Well, I think a small step for me is a major step for the entire human being.
Yes, indeed. And that is giving so many, not just from the country United States where the first mission was, but also so many around the world, an opportunity to see humans' capabilities. And now the Chinese also managed to do that and hope to mainly use that as an opportunity to contribute to the international community as well with the research.
We want to take our share of responsibilities.
Yes, and bringing things from the moon. I understand last time, during their mission, their research mission, they bring the latest sample of the dirt on the moon.
How fascinating.
I mean,
that's very
everybody
amazing.
now is want to see what it looks like and how does it work, But this is an ongoing story. Just like our love about poetry, which is another important keyword, I guess, for the Mid-Autumn Festival.
I think the most famous poem from Su Shi, a poet that we all love for centuries and millenniums. I think that what he has done in the past.
水调歌头.
Exactly. I think that's classic.
The moon can be bright or dim, and she may wax or wane. There has been nothing perfect since the olden days. So let us wish that man will live long as he can. Though miles apart, we shall share the beauty she displays. Here, the she, of course, refers to the moon. So many recited every day, and so many, particularly during the Mid-Autumn Festival, would recite it again in their family, right?
I agree.
When we were putting our little table in the courtyard during the moonlit night, and sharing it with our families, having a casual and a nice conversation, reciting these few verses while observing the beautiful moon is just something unforgettable.
Yes, that's very beautiful.
I'm sure you had that experience before.
Yes, we actually celebrated, the name of our institution is called the Courtyard Institute. So it's based in a courtyard, not too far from the Jingshan Park. And it's a traditional one. So each moon festival, we would hold some small-scale gatherings. So I think that each time we will look up in the sky looking for the round moon, and we are going to, have tea ceremonies, drinking some maybe yellow wine, which is traditional, and and commemorate all the beautiful small stories, and just send best wishes to our friends and families.
From moon gazing and mooncake to the offerings of sacrifice, there's a variety of customs and traditions on the Mid-Autumn Festival in different places across China. But the theme of Thanksgiving, in a way, and reunion is always the same. Now we look at these traditions, the food they have, and how different places mark this occasion. This is From the Moon to the Heart, a Mid-Autumn Festival special. The Chinese say, 每逢佳节必思亲. On festival occasions, more than ever, one thinks of the dear ones far away. People travel hundreds of thousands of miles just to be able to get back home and share the warmth with loved ones. For those who cannot, it is still a wonderful thing when the harvest moon rises in the early autumn night sky. All of us around the world look to the same moon, thinking of our loved ones. Sitting with me now to celebrate the Mid-Autumn Festival is another friend of mine, Zhonghou Tao, a Chinese researcher who I talk to often recently when covering stories about the things happening across the Taiwan Strait. Over the decades, when you are researching about issues across the Taiwan Strait, I'm sure you have made many friends.
Yes, exactly. I have lots of friends in Taiwan. Not though they are taking different political stance, they are, I think, are Chinese. Whenever or wherever they are, they will try to enjoy this great festival with their families.
There are a lot of issues across the Taiwan Strait, some intense situations as well. I really wonder whether you have been talking to them in the latest few months.
Just as you talked about that, the situation across the Taiwan Strait has been intensifying. There are many reasons. The first, I think, is that the Taiwan Authority or DPP Authority refuses to accept the 1992 consensus. Another reason is that the Taiwan Authority refuses to renounce the Taiwan independence ideology. What is more, they try to put into this kind of ideology into practice. For example, in education, in culture, in social life, in whatever they could do in Taiwan society. And this undoubtedly will irritate the Chinese mainland. Another important reason is that the Taiwan Authority try to rely on the external forces to help the Taiwan Authority to seek the so-called Taiwan independence. For example, they are trying to upgrade the relationship with the United States, with Japan.
There are a lot of debates also within Taiwan as well, where situations are getting ever more intense. Actually, we've been looking at some numbers of the public opinion in Taiwan. Graphics from the Taiwan Global Views magazine shows 63.6% people from Taiwan concerned about the conflict with the mainland, 62.2 people in Taiwan supporting peaceful cross-strait relations. So you can see from this number that people actually are having different views compared to some of the media reports try to depict it.
Yes, exactly. I think the Taiwan people is becoming more and more realistic about the cross-strait relations. And I think they are realizing the importance of peace and stability. Especially there is a huge contrast between Ma Ying-jeou administration and the Tsai Ing-wen administration. In Ma Ying-jeou administration, that is from 2008 to 2016, and that time the Taiwan people could enjoy a lot, could enjoy the peace bonus. They could do business with the Chinese mainland people. They could fly to Chinese mainland people. They could earn a lot. But now, as DPP is taking power, they could not enjoy this kind of peace bonus. That is really a great pity. And another important aspect is that they are becoming much realistic about the cross-strait relations. In the past, they may believe that the cross-strait relation is not so important. But as for now, they realize that the cross-strait relationship is not only cross-strait relationship itself, it's highly related to Taiwan internal affairs and external affairs.
There is 3 joint communiques between China and the United States, and one of it suggesting very clearly the priority for peace and stability for China is about the Taiwan question.
Yeah.
And both sides came to some kinds of consensus about how to understand the Taiwan question. Later, there are different documents coming from the US Congress and suggesting a very different approach. How would you explain about what actually these documents trying to indicate?
I think these documents try to indicate that one China principle is the basis for the relationship between the United States and China. And so we all know.
But in the US, there's also Taiwan Relations Act.
Yeah, exactly. As for United States, they don't call it one China principle. They just call it one China policy. One China policy and one China principle, they have some common ground. That is, both sides recognize that there is only one China in the world, and both sides across the strait, I mean Chinese mainland and Taiwan, belong to one China. But for the United States, this is just a kind of a policy. And what is more, in 1979, they implemented a law named the so-called Taiwan Relations Act. In this act, United States tried to maintain an official relationship with the Taiwan people. Unfortunately, in the next decade, several decades, the United States tried to maintain an official relationship with the Taiwan authority. I think the United States is breaking its own law. And I think that will be a huge mistake for the China and the U.S.
Are you worried about the so-called domino effect with some of the U.S. Politicians trying to show their political charm, of course, their own version, by going to visit Taiwan? Do you see that as a domino effect?
Yes,
Are you worried?
I'm really worried about that domino effect. For example, after Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan, several other politicians from the United States also made their visit to Taiwan. And what is more, some politicians from Europe, from Japan, and from other countries will visit Taiwan one by one. I think this kind of domino effect has already happened. And what is much worried me more is that the United States House and the Senate is trying to implement another very irritative act named the Taiwan Policy Act. And in this act, they try to upgrade the U.S. and Taiwan relationship to the normal relation. That is, makes the normalize the relationship between Taiwan and the United States. And in this act, they try to define Taiwan as a great partner, as a non-major NATO ally.
Yeah.
As for Chinese mainland, I think we should keep our two hands. One hand is we should keep our patience, believe that Taiwan question will be solved in future. And at the same time, we'll be keeping alarm for the upgrading situation of the Taiwan Strait. And we have already prepared many tools. If either United States or Taiwan try to play fire, I think we would send a very strong signal to them.
This is the MidAutumn Festival.
Yes.
It's a festival that is celebrated all over the world by the Chinese. We do not wish to have any war, nor military conflict. But of course, maintaining peace is a very important mission. It takes all the wisdoms and courage as well. How do you see, on the one hand, to maintain peace, on the other hand, use tools when they are available?
Is in the interest of the compatriots on both sides. We should try our best, do our utmost to keep peace, to keep stability across the Taiwan Strait. And at the same time, we never renounce the use of force, because only in this way we could we safeguard the peace. If we renounce the use of force, maybe the Taiwan separatists, those will do some more irritating activities.
Thank you so much, Ho Tao, for being with us.
My pleasure.
Wish you and your beloved ones a wonderful Mid-Autumn Festival.
Thank you.
Thank you. Peace and reunion are what we have been longing for. On the eve of the Mid-Autumn Festival, let us be one in the wish for the world to be at peace and also reunited. That's all we have for From the Moon to the Heart, a Mid-Autumn Festival special.